What's poppin' peeps? T-Money up in the house to do a Body Baggers review for this Saturday. And the movie I chose to review is from 1989. I think it was released in January 1990 officially. Is Curse 2, and this year is the Scream Factory double feature of Curse 1 and Curse 2. And I had watched Curse 1 a few months back, and I really enjoyed it, and I had heard people raving about Curse 2. So I was looking for something to watch the other night, and I decided to throw it on. Completely different from the first film, but still a lot of fun. The film came out in 1989 or 1990, one of the two. It's directed by Federico Prosperi, and I'm not sure what else he's done. But it stars, let's see, J. Eddie Peck and Jill Schoelen. And the synopsis of the film is two young lovers, Clark and Lisa, played by Peck and Schoelen, are traveling through the desert, unwittingly pass through an abandoned nuclear test site, which has become a breeding ground for deadly mutant killer snakes. When Clark is bitten, he undergoes a grotesque transformation into a hideous snake monster. This chiller filled with slithering horror also stars Jamie Farr and Shuri Appleby. And Bo Svensson, who plays the sheriff from Walking Tall. Actually, I don't know if he plays the sheriff in this. I just recently saw him in another film I watched, so I might be getting that confused. But I think he plays the sheriff, though. So yeah, awesome film. I would say what I really enjoyed about it is the special effects. So I said it's not really a slasher, it's more of like a monster film, I guess, transformation monster type movie from the 80s. And the special effects are definitely the height of this. I'd say the two things that were really positive were, I really like the atmosphere, the scenario. It takes place in the desert, and just the snakes. There's an abundance of snakes throughout the film, which are nasty, but I love snakes personally, so I can never get enough of them. They're gross when there's tons of them. There's a scene in the beginning when they're driving down the road, and there's just like an abundance of snakes just slithering everywhere. And they ride over them with their car, and they go flopping everywhere, and it's a lot of fun, but I think what I really enjoyed about the film is definitely the special effects, the transformation sequences where J. Eddie Peck, his hand is basically turning into a snake monster, is really cool. It's a lot of fun. And it's basically, the story's pretty strong too. It's like basically two young lovers traveling through the desert. They come across the nuclear test site, like it says, and one of them gets bitten by a snake, and slowly but surely his hand basically turns into one. And the climax of the film, I don't want to spoil, but it's awesome. Big transformation sequence, and just tons of special effects, tons of snakes and monster creatures, slithery type things. I don't really know what I didn't like. This film didn't really have that much gore. The special effects were great, but it definitely lacked blood. I don't know if that's not really a bad thing. And, you know, I can't really think of anything that I didn't like. I mean, it wasn't great, but it was a decent story, decent effects, decent acting, decent directing. Everything was like, I'd say maybe a cut above average. But I can't really think of anything in particular that I didn't like about the film. You know, like I said, it's not great, but it's definitely enjoyable. Let me see if I can just pull up something else about it. Maybe give you another synopsis. After a young man is bitten on the hand by a radioactive snake, his hand changes into a lethal snakehead, which attacks everyone he comes into contact with. Also, his body becomes filled with snakes. Now he must prevent himself from hurting others. So, the deaths in the film are pretty awesome. There's actually one in the beginning. Without spoiling too much, they stop at like this rundown gas station, which just kind of had like a Hills Have Eyes type feel. You've got your old attendant, and well, kind of just a similar desert atmosphere. But Eddie actually, or Clark in the film, stumbles across this, he goes into the guy's basement looking for the bathroom, and he hears like this dog barking, or like a faint dying dog, and he lifts up this cage. Ooh, I almost lost the film. And it's like a mutated, basically that's where you get your first look at like the mutation sequences with a snake kind of, or a dog mutating snake or something like that. But just awesome. There's an awesome kill scene, and I won't spoil it, but it involves the gas attendant and the dog/snake mutant. And that's really just an example of another cool effect. But what was I gonna say? Oh, it's got that guy too from, and I've always loved him. He's in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake. He plays the guy with the in the wheelchair. Basically, when they go to Leatherface's house or whatever, and I know him from a few things, but it was cool to see him. He plays like this kind of like this Spanish priest. At the end of the movie, he kind of rescues Clark when there's like, because there's basically like a showdown at the end of the movie. He's obviously on the road, mutating and killing people, even though he doesn't want to. He can't really control himself because his hand has become this mutated snake that he can't control. So it's basically like a police chase. The police are trying to track him down and kill him because he's killing innocent people. But it involves the guy from that Texas Chainsaw. He plays like a Spanish priest, and he's a great character actor, so it was really cool to see him in his role in the film as well. But yeah, not really much else to say about it. Good film from the 80s, monster feature, great effects, great transformation sequences. Just a lot of fun if you're looking for a good movie to veg out on a Saturday night or a Friday night or a weekend feature. And it actually plays, this double feature is amazing too, even though, like I said, they're two completely different films. I guess one thing that they could have explained more in this film is like kind of like the history and the mysticism behind the curse, because it's like all of a sudden they're at this test site and there's these mutated snakes. I think in the beginning there's a scene with some Native American Indians, if I'm not mixing it up with the first one, and I wasn't really focused there, so I'm not sure exactly what that was about, but from what I can remember, they didn't do a great job of like explaining the curse and like its origin and that sort of thing. Maybe they did, but maybe a little bit more focus on tying that into the whole overall picture, because really you just get a monster feature with no discussion of the origin of the curse. But other than that, it was fun, and I highly recommend it. So if you like a good dose of 80s monster, slithery, nasty effects horror, check it out. I highly recommend it. Alright, this has been my review for Saturday evening, Curse 2, The Bite, starring the two that I said, Eddie Peck and Jill Schoelen from The Stepfather. And yeah, like, I don't know who the director is. He might have done some other stuff, but I don't know. And don't listen to IMDb's review. They gave it a 4.8. It's way better than that. I'd say it's like a 6. So, alright guys, check you next Saturday on Body Bags. Have a nice rest of the weekend. Talk to you soon. Peace.